Hello everyone, this is Ma'am Amano, and this lecture video is all about the introduction, definition, parts, and types of ellipses. So ellipses, commonly described as oval shape, have significant purposes, not just in mathematics but in other fields as well. Often we associate ellipses with astronomy since it is known by the fact that the planetary orbits are elliptical. The concept and form of ellipses are used in architectural designs such as roads, arenas, bridges, and the like. In the Philippines, the most common infrastructure which uses an elliptical design is the elliptical road or oval road in Quezon City. So in this lesson, you will find out the characteristics of an ellipse including its parts, forms, and properties as one of the conic sections. So I have here the double-napped conic section. And when a plane intersects a double-napped cone and it is not parallel to any generator, this is your generator, and that is not parallel to that, you will have an ellipse. So we can define an ellipse as a set of all points on a plane such that the sum of the distances of its points from two fixed points is constant. And we call those two fixed points as foci, the plural form of focus. So an ellipse has two axes of symmetry, which we call the major axis and minor axis. I have here, this is your major axis, the longer one, and this is your minor axis, the smaller one or shorter one. The major axis is also called the principal axis or focal axis. And then take note that the major axis is the longer axis, which always contains the foci, vertices, and the center of the ellipse. So this is your major axis, the longer one, and here, if that is horizontal one, this is your major axis, the longer one. And it always contains again the center, the foci, and then the vertex. The minor axis is the shorter axis, which is also the perpendicular bisector of the major axis. So this is your minor axis, the shorter one. Here, the shorter one. And when we say perpendicular bisector, it passes through perpendicularly or in right angle within the major axis. That is what we mean by that. It divides or bisects perpendicularly in right angle in equal terms. In an ellipse, the foci are always inside the ellipse and are contained by the major axis. As I have mentioned earlier, it is always lie in the major axis, the foci here. Lagi siyang nasa major axis. Then, the endpoints of the major axis are called the vertices, which are represented by positive, negative, A. So, ito yung vertices nyo, and ito yung endpoint ng ellipse. Ayan, other term for that is endpoint. Andito yan. The endpoints of its minor axis are called co-vertices, which are represented by positive and negative B. Ito yung co-vertices ninyo, or co-vertex kapag singular. Kapag dalawa, co-vertices, meron din yan doon. Yan ang endpoint ng ating minor axis. Then another part of an ellipse is its center. The center of an ellipse is the intersection of the two axes of symmetry. It is also the midpoint between the two foci and the midpoint between the two vertices. This is the center. This is the intersection of the two axes of symmetry, which is the major axis and minor axis. And this is your foci. And the center is the midpoint of that, the foci. And this is also the midpoint of the vertices here, the center. We also have the other part of the ellipse, which is the latus rectum, singular form. And this is the chord passing through a focus of an ellipse, which is perpendicular to its major axis. Ito yung latus rectum ninyo. Since there are two foci in the ellipse, there are also two latera recta, the plural form of latus rectum. Laging dalawa yan. We have here the directrix. This is a line outside the ellipse that is parallel to the minor axis and has the same distance from the vertex like the focus. There are two directrices. So, ito yung directrix nyo. Parallel siya lagi sa minor axis ninyo. This is your minor axis and parallel dyan yung directrix. Lagi yan. Then we have here the types of ellipses. We have here the horizontal ellipse and then the vertical ellipse. If the major axis lies in the x-axis, this is the horizontal ellipse. And we have here the vertical ellipse if its major axis is in the y-axis or is the y-axis. Ito yun. We call it as vertical ellipse. So that is all for the introduction, definition, parts, and types of ellipse.